Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Say What. And I am coming to you today. So this morning I've been listening to another podcast. I guess it would be considered a part of the manosphere. And the topic was, big girls. Like, do men really low key, really like and prefer the big girl over your small, skinny, trim girl? So before you get any further, if you can, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notification so you know when I go live. But let's get into it. Do men really prefer the big girl? I even called into the podcast because I wanted to kind of weigh in, but I found the topic to be interesting because I guess the narrative that you often hear is that, that man wants that small trim girl, small waist, big butt, or maybe the fit girl that kind of looks like she lives in the gym. But is that really what they want? So I'm listening to this podcast. I'm still actually was listening to it up until I jumped on it. I said, let me get on my channel and try to talk about it. So they put up like this photo of like these big girls. I don't know where they got the photo from, y'all. So that's why I don't have it. But they were pretty much saying that fellas pretty much kind of prefer or typically kind of go after the bigger girl. And some of the reasons as to why they say they do that is because I guess when they look at them, they don't feel like they will be as expensive, I guess, as far as with the upkeep for that lady, I guess maintaining maybe whatever lifestyle that she may have. So they go for the big girl. So I kind of found that, to be interesting. It was one gentleman who said he used to work at a department store, and more often than not, when women would be in the store more often than not, if there was a woman with a man and a family, children, she was a big girl. And he said she would have a really big ring, nice ring and everything on. And then when he would see the more fit woman, her hand was bare, like she didn't have a husband. So the question is do men really prefer the bigger girl? So when I got to thinking about it, I feel like right now, if we talk about stats, I'm going to share my screen because I just wanted to kind of look up some stats to see what the weight situation is currently today, as far as with Americans. And I heard, on the call, on the podcast, one of the gentlemen talk about, your average woman's weight being maybe about between 160 to 170. And I was like, okay, well, when I just kind of thought about the size of the woman that I see, I thought, okay, that may be right. So I actually took the time out to check it out myself. Let me see if you can see my screen. Let me try to open it. And it says, first of all, reads, how much does the average American woman weigh? The average American woman, 20 years old and up, weigh 170 pounds, 170.6 pounds, and stand at about 5'4". So that's pretty much my measurements. And average weight being 38.6. Wow. 100. Listen, sis over here is 127, 5'3" and a half. So when they talk about, men preferring the big girl, I can't help but to wonder is if it's not necessarily really a preference, really, if it's a matter of the bigger girl is just what's out there walking the streets. That's out there. So let's just say in the Black community, if that's what women are looking like, if women are heavier women, men, that's what they're dating. So like one of the people on the podcast, Jessica X, many of you might be familiar with her. She brought up a great point. I don't know where she's from. If she's from Europe, she has an accent, but she brought up a great point. And her point was that basically women are larger because, well, they're still able to get dates, get the men to, do whatever. So there's really no reason for them to change their size, because it's like, okay, if I'm still pulling Dre over there and I'm 250 standing at 5'5", then why is it important for me to try to get fit and get down to under 200 pounds for what? I mean, the dudes are still checking for me. They still pulling up. They still doing this, that, and the third. They still getting me pregnant. Like, what is the incentive for me to put that work in? So Jessica X was like, well, fellas, you guys have to change your standard, because if your standard was different, women would try to rise to that. Because it's like, okay, well, if I don't get this together right here, then I'm not going to be able to get that. Kind of like like a cause and effect type situation. And I thought that made a lot of sense, because so when I'm looking at these numbers and the stats are showing at 20, like really 20 years. Listen, at 20 years old, I was barely over 100 pounds at 20 years old. I've just been a petite person. And now at 40, I'm a very petite woman. And I know that I'm much smaller than your average woman that you see, like, because I see it. Like, I'm not blind to that. Like, I know that. But my sisters, they're small as well. We're from California. And when we moved to the South back in 96, the first thing that stood out to me is just the body difference between, say, me and my sisters and our peers. Like, we were so small compared to everyone else. And our friends that we would make, a lot of them had body shapes. They were maybe like the size of our mom, who was probably like 140 at the time. And she stands about 5'4". So she's still well below, the average of today. So she would be, I guess, probably at 140. That probably had her probably just right within her weight range for her height. But she was like a size 8, 140. So our friends, they were pretty much looking like that. Whereas me and my sisters at 15, 16, we were very small. Like, when I say small, y'all, I'm talking about like size 3. Or when I met my husband, I was a 0. I was like 102 pounds when I graduated high school in 99. So I was very tiny. I used to say I felt like I looked like a 12-year-old. Like, sis wanted to put weight on, but I just couldn't. It was just my body was just naturally small. But what I did notice is that in the South, the food was different. Like, the way that they would eat, like, to us, and coming from California, it was only like things we'd eat for a holiday. For example, they would eat like your macaroni and cheese, your greens, your dressing, your turkey, but like pretty much everything at a Piccadilly. First of all, in California, we didn't have a Piccadilly. I didn't know what a Piccadilly was. So really your buffet style eating, we had it, but it to me wasn't as popping as it is in the South. So that home cooked food like that, I didn't eat that like regularly. That would be something I would eat, or we would eat for like your holidays, like your Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe New Year's, maybe Easter, but that's that. Like, but as far as like your regular cooking on Sunday, no, we wasn't eating all that. Like, it was a Sunday meal or something. It was going to be something light. You might have spaghetti, maybe fried pork chops, but it wasn't like that heavy, hearty food that they cook in the South. So with that being said, it made a difference as far as our weight. So like I said, when we moved to Georgia, when I seen, okay, wow, they eat very different out here. It was like, okay, we still didn't kind of pick up that routine of just eating that way on a regular. We would eat it, but we still didn't we wasn't throwing back, killing it like that. But that just wasn't what we were used to. So you know, we were just small, we were small teenagers and then small adults. So like I say, right now, I'm 5'3.5", 127 pounds. My sisters' weight are pretty much I have sisters that are a little bit younger than me by less than a year. So they're also 40 right now. And their weight is also maybe one might be 118. And then the other one might be barely over 130. So we're small and our heights range from 5'3", me being the shortest, up to my sister being 5'8". She's probably the one that might be maybe 130 something, if that. So we're just small frame people. But when I go out and about in the streets, I do see bigger women, and I do see those women with men on their arm. Now, granted, I did tell the story of, not that long ago, I went in the Cracker Barrel and I was just by myself this day running errands. And next to me, they, of course, I'm by myself. So they put me at a table and it was next to this family. And it was like this man, his woman, and their 2 kids. And the woman was like visibly obese. I mean, this woman had to have been maybe about 280 to 300 pounds. And dude, he wasn't a fat man. He kind of was thick, but I could see him looking. So I kind of felt, when I say looking at me, peeping at me. So like, I kind of felt awkward because I'm like, yo, okay, dude sitting across the table with an old girl with their family. And I see him looking at me. So my thought is, I know she looking at him because, we don't miss nothing. We gonna see it. We gonna catch it. So eventually he had to pull, tighten his little situation up and keep his eye on his woman, who happened to have been sitting straight across from him. But like I said, he was a guy where when I looked at him, he looked like he had options. As I would say, he wouldn't have to be with someone who's 300 pounds. If he wanted to be with someone smaller, I didn't look at him as a settle type situation. But like I said, listening to this podcast with these fellas, a lot of them was talking like they felt like, okay, the sex with the big girl is actually better. The small frame girl, they don't be as into it. So it's little things that they were saying as far as like, okay, well, yeah, I like, the big girl, I rock with the big girl. But then you had some who were like, oh, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And when I say big girls, like these were like women, I guess you're like, we're seeing the average of 170 pounds and up. So there were quite a few men who, some of them who were like, no, I can't do it. But then there was other men calling cap like, no, I think y'all lying. Y'all would still do it. Y'all would still do it. And my husband happened to be one of those ones who would just scream from the rooftop, no, I can't do it. So like I said, you got some men like, nah, you would do it. But my thing is, are big girls getting the love primarily because it's not a lot of options for the smaller chick? Wait, shooting your shot with the smaller chick. Like some of them talked about, oh, well, with the smaller chick, you got to have your money together. I don't think that's true. I've always been a smaller chick, and I've never been one that was about, oh, you got to have a certain amount of money, in order to be with me. And then my sisters aren't like that. They're not married. And other smaller women that I've built relationships with over the years, like they weren't like that. So I don't think that's necessarily true that just because a woman is smaller, it equates to her costing more. I don't think so at all. What I will say is that the smaller woman will, to me, appear visibly to have more options for obvious reason. She looks good. She's intact. So I wonder if maybe there are men that may not try to go or shoot their shot with the smaller woman just because they think like, nah, I ain't got a chance. So I'm not going to even bother to waste my time to even get my feelings hurt. I'm just going to just keep it moving, go over here with Bertha over here and see what she cooking tonight. So, and that's another thing they talked about, as far as the bigger woman, just assuming that, she can hold it down better, she can cook. One guy said he bet that, the bigger woman probably got to make more money, got a better paying job, like a lot of things. So it has me now to wonder, like, okay, with your big girls, is it one of those things to where, you know how sometimes when you're lacking in a certain area, you'll have to kind of overcompensate in another area? Like you might see a guy who's like short, like 5'5" or something, but he's super funny. So let's think about Kevin Hart. So, or a big guy and he's super funny. Like, so when I talk about compensation, is that you're wanting to highlight something else about you to take away from what people or society may deem as a flaw or a shortcoming, such as the man being short or the man being overweight. So I wonder, like, with your bigger girls, are we dealing with the same thing with that? Whereas the mind says, well, I'm a big girl. So because I'm a big girl, I'm going to have to do a little extras in like the bedroom or make sure I'm in that kitchen, because I got to be able to find a way to pull them, because it may not necessarily be on the aesthetics or them looking at my body and me pulling them that way. If they learn that I can throw down in the kitchen or, you know, in the bedroom, you know, I'm gonna knock your socks off, you know, maybe that's going to keep them coming. So again, it's overcompensation. So that's why I pose the question, like, do men genuinely, are you just into the bigger girl? Like they saying, you know, the average woman is 170. Like, is that what you're good with? You know, I've heard men plenty of times talk about they don't want a skinny chick. Or I remember when we first moved to Georgia, my mom said her male coworkers would tell her, don't nobody want a bone but a dog. And like I said, my mom was like 5'4", 140 pounds at that time. So she was way small, a lot smaller than the women that she worked with, which was in a corporate environment, just as we were a lot smaller than the other girls that we went to school with. It's like, I think a lot of times it does play a part as far as your geographical location with maybe how your body is going to look. Because if any of you listening are familiar with California, in particular, maybe the Southern California, like your San Diego, you're going to see people out and about more, being more active on bicycles, on rollerblades, walking up Venice Beach, eating your healthy foods, your salads, your kales, hanging out at the beach. So with that being said, and that being the environment, I wonder if that just kind of plays a part with, you know, the mindset or the mentality of how somebody feels about their physical appearance. I remember right after high school, when I first worked my first corporate job, it was a guy I worked with, and he visited California for the first time, and he went to LA, and he came back. And at that time I was probably 19, and he came back and he was like, man, I went to California. I went to LA. He was like, and I seen 50 million Sheikies out there, you know, because my nickname is Sheik. And basically he was saying that when he went to that part of the US, you know, leaving the South, going to the West Coast, he's seen that the bodies looked different. And that was something different for him. I can't remember where he was from, but you know, he and I at the time living in Georgia, but this was his first visit to the West Coast. And then, like I said, he was in LA, and he noticed a difference with the bodies. And it's a thing, because even my cousins grew up, like we all were just small frame people. Our friends, like once we moved to Georgia, that's when I started to have friends who were more curvy. And so when we talk about, okay, what a man's preference is it really a preference, or is it what they're exposed to, or what they feel like the only options that they have? Because ultimately, it's all good to be thick, but we have to still watch that number just to make sure that we don't get into these unhealthy range, or these numbers don't start impacting, like that weight number don't start impacting like our blood pressure, or having diabetes, asthma, all of that. And it's a real deal. I think when it comes to where you live, because I have a daughter and she's thick. She's much thicker than what I was at her age. And I always joke and say, my baby is a true country baby. She thick, but she's not. She's a Southern girl. She's not from California like me. So, she likes to eat. She loves her fried chicken, all of that you see that's kind of like a norm for people in the South. And as I'm looking at her body, she looking thick like them girls I said when I moved out here, how they was looking thick. So my baby is a country baby. I'm not. I'm from California. So that's why I want to just put it out there. Like, fellas, what do you like? I mean, do you have a weight requirement? Are you like, listen, I don't really care. She can have a big butt and a big, I've heard somebody call it a two booty, where they got it in the front, the stomach look like a booty and the back is a boot. I mean, my husband and I went to dinner the other night, and it was a woman that had on a whole jumper / cat suit that was coral. It was bright as hell, but she was wearing it. And the body, when my first thought when I seen that, her body was, oh no, sis, that's not, that one ain't it. That wasn't the outfit for you. But her body didn't stand out or look any different than the average woman's body that I do see. That's the thing. It's just that the outfit that she chose to wear was one that I personally didn't feel that complimented her body. And she was there with a man. So I do see the big girls, they do be having men on their side. So I think, as someone said when I was listening on the podcast, that it's not always about maybe like your side. It's that energy that you bring in, the confidence. Because like I said, sis had a man with her, and then there was a young boy, I guess her son. And yes, and she had that jumpsuit on, that booty was out and that belly was out. And she was walking like what? Head held up like nothing. So mind you, when I had the conversation piece with my husband, he was like, no, ma'am, I wouldn't be able to do that, as far as rock with or be with somebody looking like that. But I see so many women that do look like that. And I'm an addict, I work out, I exercise, I do all that. So I'm fit, I get outside, I get in the community. And most of the women, regardless of whether they're Caucasian, Black, Hispanic, their bodies are round like that, like they're visibly overweight. It's more unlikely for me to see an Asian that I see that's visibly overweight as far as when I'm out and about. But as far as your other cultural groups like Black, Hispanic, Caucasian, they're a lot of times, they're very round. They're very round, especially, in our community. And oftentimes they'll have men, they'll have rings and all of that. And it has me, I was just telling my husband about, recently we all seen in the media in Atlanta that it was back with the airport, was a lot of women in the airport sitting in wheelchairs because they all had just come from, I think, Colombia, and they all had the BBLs and they needed assistance getting through the airport. And I was telling him, like, as I was peeping the bodies of these women sitting in the wheelchairs, they weren't no small frame women. Like, so I'm like, okay, so you just went and got your butt done and that's it. Like, I wasn't seeing a woman to where it looked like now she got a banging body. It's almost like, okay, now all she got is a big butt, but okay, damn everything else about the body. I don't know. And another thing, as I told him, oftentimes when I'm out and about and I then see these women and they have these Build-A-Bear, I like to call it, bodies where it look like it got built, more often than not, they don't have a ring on their finger. So my thing is, with all these women going to get these BBLs, what percentage of them actually are getting wifed up? Because from what I've been hearing out there in the YouTube streets is that just because you're going out there getting a BBL, it doesn't mean that that's going to guarantee that some man going to take you serious and wife you up. You getting a ring and getting wifed up is something different than somebody wanting to come through at 10 o'clock at night. Like, that's a difference. So the question is, women, ladies, when you are going out there and getting all these things done to your body, what is your end game? Like, what are you looking to come out of that experience? Are you looking to just be able to just turn more heads, get more dates? Are you looking to get wifed up, get a ring, get the husband, get somebody to impregnate you after they married you? Like, what is your end game? Because to me, from what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing that having these alterations to your body is resulting in women getting, at least not the Black women. I don't know nothing about the other cultural groups, but at least for our sisters, I'm not seeing that it looks like they're winning anymore when it comes to the quality of men. I think that they're winning with, okay, you getting more men to maybe stop, try to get your number, do all that. But okay, I'm sure you probably was getting people to kind of look at you and talk to you before. So what's the difference now? You just got more. Are you seeing a change in the quality of man? Are you feeling like, okay, now you getting men who are husband material to show interest in you? Like, what are we doing here? Are we going out here taking these chances, getting on these surgical, on these tables to have people cut on us just for a better Instagram picture? Like, what are we doing? Are we doing it for OnlyFans? Really? Like, what is the end game? Because at the end of the day, if you're still by yourself, still that single parent, still that person who's unmarried, still that person not having a man in their life that they can truly rely on and trust that they're going to be protected by, what does it matter? Don't we want someone to protect us, someone to have our back, someone to love us, someone to come home to us? Like, I know women that I talk to, those are like the things that they would like to have. So collectively, women, what are you looking for? Because there's a lot of women that are single and that they are saying, I want a man, I want a husband, I want somebody to help me with these kids. Or if they don't have kids, I want to have kids one day. So that's why I want to have a husband first. But it's not happening. It's not happening. So is altering your body going to help that? Now, I will say what I did say on the platform I was on is that I do believe that when you look good, you feel good. And I also believe because men are visual, that's just a fact. Men are visual. So with that being said, getting yourself together as far as having your weight together, just the whole total package together, that's going to get the man's attention. That may get him in the door, but that's not what's going to keep him. So when we talk about, okay, what's going to keep him, sis, that's when we got to dig deep. And that's where that inner work comes in. And that's not something Dr. Miami, Dr. Columbia, that's not something that they can impact for us. So back to why is it that we're having these surgical procedures? That's a real question. Because I would just hate for someone to go out there, spend thousands of dollars on the new body, but they ain't fixed the inside of themselves. And they still messed up. And they still ain't got a man. Meanwhile, the woman over there next to you didn't go out spending that money on her body. She worked on her inner self, did some little things to tweak her diet, maybe bust some exercise moves, made some subtle changes. And now she booed up with somebody. She now engaged. She's married. Now she's pregnant. Like, she's winning. And you're like, well, how'd she get all that? I'm over here, I done all this, or I look better than that, better than her. It's deeper than that. And we can't be so surface. And I think we live in a society where a lot of it's so surface related. So back to the bigger girls and them having men on their sides. Are the men settling because they feel like, okay, that's all that's out here because the Black woman that, they're bigger women. They're just choosing to carry the weight and not, because I personally feel like you can get yourself right and together without stepping a foot into the gym. There are things that you can do at home or outside, walking, jogging, running. Like there's different things. I don't go to a gym. I haven't been to a gym in years. I used to live in the gym. Then I got to a point I'm like, I don't like being in the gym. I like being outside and I do things at home. But I do all those, my thing is, if I'm not going to go into the gym, I got to do something. I can't just say, oh, I don't want to go to the gym, but they'll still steady want to eat or have an unhealthy lifestyle and still expect to look a certain way or feel good about myself. Like, because I truly don't believe that women who are obese and morbidly obese, that they're truly legit happy about what they look like. I don't think so. I think that they are comfortable and complacent because when they look to their left and their right, 9 times out of 10, they're going to see another woman that's basically looking just like them, looking their size, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit bigger. So it's just like, okay, well, I'm not out here by myself with carrying all this weight. There's a bunch of women that has this weight. So, but deep down, I don't feel that that woman wants to carry that weight. She's just not motivated to do better, to put forth the effort to make the change, because it is hard. It is hard. As they say, the hardest part about many things is just getting started. But once you get started, you develop a routine, and then now you have this habit. And that's what I've created. I've created a routine and I have a habit of being active. And by me having the routine and developing the habit and being consistent, I'm able to maintain a healthy weight, a healthy BMI, and I'm able to truly feel good about what I look like and not feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm okay having the extra weight on me because 60% of women have extra weight. Like, okay, well, just because the masses are looking unhealthy as well, that has no bearing on really how you truly feel. Are you still good with that? Or are you settling for that because it's like, well, it's one of those things, everybody else is doing it, so why not? No, we have to take accountability. We have to be accountable for the decisions we make, how we choose to present ourselves. We all should want to present the best version of ourselves, whatever that is. And if you are a woman with weight on you, put some clothes on, comb your hair, get your nails done. If you challenge in the face, throw some makeup on. I say, somebody I seen on YouTube, they put a comment on one of the videos I was watching saying, if you put makeup on anybody, they'll look pretty. And I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say if you put makeup on someone, it's going to enhance you. Even if you have a pretty person, a beautiful person, it's going to enhance them. I happen to be someone, I don't believe, and I'm told that I don't have to have makeup, but the little bit that I do put on, it enhances me to where I can just see the difference just by the little bit that I put on. So it don't always take a lot to do, but just do something. It's just the little things that can go a long way. The little things that actually sends the message that you really care about what you look like. And a lot of times that's men, they'll say, man, she just let herself go. She don't even care what she look like. She just looking any kind of way. And now, John now looking at Teresa over there because he see, okay, she keeping herself up because his old lady, Mary, she didn't let herself go. And a lot of times us women will fall back on the excuse of the kids. Now, having kids, that is a real thing, and that can do a number on your body. It can. It can. But if there's a will, there's a way. We got to have those babies and then work on ourselves. We find time to put forth the energy and efforts into ourselves. Because as we have more kids over the years, that weight just piles up. And next thing you know, you got weight from two to three pregnancies piled on. the one piece of advice that my mom told me early on before I started having kids, she said, when you have babies in between each pregnancy, get the weight off, because it's so easy for it to pile on. And then it makes it that much harder. I have 3 children. So in between each child, I would get the weight off. After having my first child, all the weight didn't fall off. I had maybe about 15 pounds I had to work off. So that was my very first gym membership I purchased. After that, working out became a lifestyle. So with my next 2 pregnancies, after I delivered the baby, pretty much that was all the baby weight. There was no more weight. And I remember it was either my second or third pregnancy, the nurse told me, as she was kind of pressing down on my stomach to, flatten things out and remove whatever needed to come out, blood clots. She felt my muscles, and her comment was, you're going to get back to where you were in no time, because I can feel your stomach muscles. That's because I was used to working out. So my body already knew the way, it already had a memory of the way it was supposed to be. So those last 2 pregnancies, there was no extra weight to have to work out. Literally, when I returned back to work after having my babies, I was back to my pre-baby weight, which was like 130 pounds at that time. That's pretty much the weight that I've mostly maintained since I've been a parent. Now, recently, I've kind of lost some since, I really got back into my working out. So now, I vary anywhere in the between the 125 and the 130 range, but it takes effort. But it's a lifestyle of mine now. So if I don't get it in, I feel kind of awkward. Like, wow, I haven't gone out and gone walking. I haven't done any exercise. I feel out of place because it's become a new routine. So ladies, we got to take pride in what we look like, because when you look better, you feel better. And don't just be okay with living an unhealthy lifestyle and looking a certain way because you still getting the attention of men. It's beyond that. How do you deep down feel about your body? Do you trust that he's there really because he's really into you like that? Or do you feel like he's there for what you can offer him? Like, that's real. And if you don't feel like he's there for you, then you need to evaluate that whole situation. And fellas, you need to have some standards, just as us women need to have some standards. If the big girl isn't what you're into and is not what you want, you need to not rock with it. You need to let it be known, hey, this is my preference. That may motivate her to be like, okay, wow, like I'm really feeling this dude. He's not liking that I'm out of shape. I don't have a healthy weight. That may motivate her to want to do better. And it's not about you trying to get yourself right for a man, but that could be just added motivation of, wow, I really want to look good for myself, but at the same time, I want to look good for my man too. So that's a plus in both areas. It's a plus in both areas. It's not cool for our women to be overweight the way we are. It's not cool at all. It's not, my daughter, like I said, she's a thick one. So I keep her active. She plays soccer because it's not cool. Like, she's going to have to manage her weight. I don't want her to grow up and be a teenager or be an adult that's having a weight issue. It's a problem. So right now I allow for her to be a child, but I make sure that I try to have her doing something where she can be active, because when she become an adult, she's going to feel the impacts of life when you're overweight. Look at Lizzo. I feel like she be on social media crying every doggone 3 weeks. Like, real, okay, Lizzo, what is it? You love how you look or you don't? Which one is it? Because people who love how they look, they ain't out there crying like that. And So I feel like, okay, she's not happy with what she looks like, but that's how she get her bag. So it's kind of like she's caught between, wow, I'm famous and I make my money from being morbidly obese, but deep down, this is not how I want to look. I want to look like Beyonce. I want to look like Kelly Rowland, or however she want to look, but that's not what her fame is built on. And if you ever guys have ever noticed, if you ever seen any celebrities, in particular women, like I remember, I think it was Jasmine Sullivan, who had lost a bunch of weight and people start going in on her. It's almost like it falls into that misery love company type category. Like I said, like people, if they're a certain way, they want to see other people in that same situation. Jasmine looked awesome. Her weight looked healthy. It was proportioned with her height. She said that she changed her diet. She was motivated. I think her mother had gotten sick and needed to do some changes with her diet. So she jumped on board with her mom to be a support. And they together, you know, got their bodies together and started eating more healthy. And she looked awesome. So Lizzo, it's like, I feel like she wants to be smaller. She's not quite sure how to go about doing that. So she toggles with making it seem like she's completely happy and content with what she looks like. But she's not. Happy people don't be crying like that. Like, think about it. Y'all go on her social media. This ain't even no rumors about her crying. She actually will get on her live and be crying. Like, you see it. And then like 24, 48 hours, she up doing a TikTok video dancing, showing her butt. Like, I don't know if the girl listen, don't have me put nothing out. You just, to me, I feel like she has this internal battle with herself, with self-love. And we can't be trying to present an image for somebody else. We got to present the image that we want for ourselves. And until Lizzo figures that out, she's going to be lost in these streets, no matter how much money she got or how fat her bank account is. And oftentimes, a lot of times I see the bigger women, the men that they want are a lot of times fit men. Have you guys stop and think about it? Most of the bigger women that I've met over the years, they will actually talk about, like, they don't want no parts of no fat man, y'all. That ain't no option. If he ain't got no six pack, he ain't got no tight body, he ain't trim, they ain't trying to look at him. Now, I know it don't make sense because I never could make sense of it. I mean, I had one big girl told me I can't be with another big man. It'd be like pigs in a blanket. That was her reason. And that woman at the time, she probably was maybe about 300 pounds. And she told me that was her reason why she didn't date bigger men, like fat men. But I know it's big women, fat women, whatever we want to call them, fluffy, whatever name they want to go by. They don't want no man that's overweight like them. They sure don't. They want that fit man, and they want you to be accepting. They want you to accept them and all that comes along with them. So I will say, as a woman, us women, we can have standards, higher standards on a man than we will have for ourselves. Like if that man try to put that standard on us, oh, it's time to go get our signs out and go marching down MLK. But if a man says to us what they want or what they want is, you know, or if we say what we want in a man, oh, we want you to have six pack. We want you to just rock with it and be okay with it and go ahead and make it happen. So it's like a double standard. And I feel like men and women both are visual and want something to look at. So I'm not mad at the big girl who wants a man with a nice body, but sis, you can't be mad at that man who wants a woman with a nice body. Come on now. We got to stop with the excuses and do what we need to do. We got to handle our business. Point blank, period. Handle our business. And let's start with working on our inner selves. Let's start there. Because once we get that part and start working on that part, then it's going to motivate us to be like, okay, I done got the inside, you know, I done got my little feelings together, my emotions. You know, I'm feeling a little motivated to go take a walk. Oh, that walk felt good. I'm going to go back tomorrow and do another walk. You see? And it's just repetition. And next thing you know, you can transform your whole body. And guess what? When you do that, oh, the world notices. I can contest to that. I ain't never had a lot of weight on me, but just the little tweaks 6 months ago, I said, oh, I'm gonna pick back up on my fitness game, because before I kind of would just walk and I just wasn't motivated to do anything more. At that point, I was maybe about 100 and maybe like 43 pounds. I was like, let me bust a move. So I started one day. I'm like, oh, let me do these exercises. Okay, well, let me add this to it. Next thing you know, sis then transformed her body. And when I go out in public, I get a different reaction than what I did before. And I'm about 10, 15, I'm probably about, since COVID hit, I'm probably about 15 pounds. I'm probably about 15 pounds lighter than what I was. And that 15-pound difference have made a difference just by when I go outside and response that I get from people. So I know that somebody who got far more weight than me to lose, they're going to get a response. People will notice. They're going to notice. And when people notice and compliment you, you're going to feel good about that. Because you're going to feel like, wow, my efforts, my hard work has paid off, and it's going to motivate you to want to keep that going. I'm motivated to keep it going. I do what I do for myself. My husband never told me anything about what I need to do to change my body. When I was 102, when I met him, all the way up to the most I've been was maybe 146 pounds. That's post without having baby weight. So my weight has ranged from 102 to 146. At any of those weights, he have never made a comment or issue about any of it, because he found me still attractive with all of those weights. But for me, my personal comfort, what I feel best at the weight that I am. I feel best when I'm 130 or below. That's just for me. So we have to find what that is for us, our individual selves, not for somebody else, or because my mama big or my aunt's big, my best friend. No, don't do that. We got to do it for ourselves. So ladies, let's just do that. I just challenge everyone to put their best foot forward. Dig deep, figure out what that looks like for you. What's going to make you feel good in the inside? What is that healthy weight for you? Research that. What weight should you be? What's an ideal size that you've thought about that you would love to probably see yourself at? What's a weight you've been at before that you were like, you know what, I really liked when I was this size. I felt good about myself. Like, make that a goal to get back there. Because that was where my goal started. I'm like, okay, I felt good when I was maybe like around 130. Then when I got to that size, and I kind of lost a little bit more. I'm like, okay, well, I'm liking this size too. So, you just got to figure out what that is. What looks good to you on you. I promise you, the world is going to respond favorably when they see that. But you are going to have those haters who will say, girl, you losing too much weight. You too small. They're going to say that because I'm prepared for people who I haven't seen maybe since pre-COVID. When they see me, they may say that. But you know what? I don't care, because 9 times out of 10, that one who's saying that, she's bigger than I am. And guess what? She would love to be the size that I am, but she can't. So she'll rather just throw those little comments out there to you to try to hate on you. So therefore, you will put that weight back on, and you won't be walking around looking more fine than what she looking. So you got to pretty much take the comments that people say with a grain of salt and really think about where it's coming from and who it's coming from. But yes, that's all I had to say today on Chic Say What. Please like, share, subscribe, share the video with anybody, who you feel like could really benefit from it. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. But as always, I want to hear what you got to say. Drop a comment. And, we just want to talk about it. Get the conversation popping. What's the deal? Is being the big girl today it? So I say, do you, boo, do you? We only got one life to live, so we got to make the best of it. So until the next broadcast, peace.